Hey man, you got a cool screen. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh man, that looks really cool. You got like some kind of YouTube channel I don't know about or something? What's going on?
I emailed you last week. I'm starting to set up the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay, that's
It's
right.
taking me some time. There's some trial and errors and some things that have just been shipped broken. So
Oh man, that looks good. Man, that looks better than this one. I've had a lot of time too. So there's no excuse. You got a TV
I,
behind you. You're standing there. You're looking very cool.
you
Man,
know
that's
what?
nice.
My wife is the brains behind all that. So I can't take credit.
It's pretty nice. I mean, you found that wife. I mean, that's credit to you. Good job for selecting her. uh, oh man. Okay, so everybody can hear everybody here. It's a miracle. I can't believe it. So hey, tell me a little bit about it. Now that we're sitting here, we see your stuff. What do you got going on there?
So I've been doing this for about 23 years, and I don't know if you're familiar with anything out here in Arizona. We have what we call Heat Pump Council. It's kind of like Nate, but I'm one of the instructors for Heat Pump Council, and I also run an air conditioning company. And it just all the guys are like, "Man, why don't you post videos about all this stuff that you do?" And I'm like, "Because I don't have time." So now I kind of have time. So slowly getting it working in the videos and stuff. I started doing the TikTok thing, and I'm not really a big fan of the TikTok stuff. So
I
figured
don't
I'd come
blame you.
here and see what I can post and share some knowledge and information.
Well, that's pretty cool right there. First of all, yeah, TikTok, they're already downloading your thoughts. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just I'm gonna speculate that your thoughts and your neighbor's thoughts have already been downloaded. They triangulate your location. So I mean, you don't want that. And that's pretty cool that you actually are an instructor. You own the company, or you own a company.
I I don't own. I'm not sure how licensing works. So I'm from Florida, and I moved out here to Arizona. I'm what they call the qualifying party. I hold the license for the company, and I'm the service manager. So I hold the license for the company. I don't own it. I just hold the contracting license, and I'm the service manager. So
So, but if you leave, the company immediately goes under.
um, I wouldn't say they go under. They have 90 days to find a new qualifying party, someone to hold the license. And technically, I am under contract, so I have to give them a 90-day notice.
Oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah, it's similar here. People do that where they use a license to do a job and kind of work under somebody else. So that's similar to what it is here.
But here in
Um,
the state, you have to actually have stake in the company in order to be a qualifying party.
that's good. That's definitely a nice step to take because there's a lot of I don't know redneck ways to do things where you just hey a guy I know has a license, let's get his license and get a permit, and then we can do an awful job officially
Well,
under
they
permitting.
kind of asked me to take the license because I used to own my own company, and I not that it was a failure, it was actually very successful. I the stress was like beyond what I could handle.
What would you say was the biggest stressor owning the company?
Um, the biggest stressor was when it was just me and my business partner when we started out. I was just going to be a silent partner and just be kind of like the cash flow behind everything. And what really got to me was when we started having to hire employees because he was the sales brains and he'd sell, 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 sell. And we got to the point where I was like, we're both working beyond what we can handle, right? So I told him, I was like, we need to start hiring people. So we hired 2 technicians, bought a couple trucks, and turn around. And guess what? You need now an office staff to manage those guys. And we had like, I think 10 technicians total, but it was just so stressful. I had a truck that burned to the ground and it made me freak out.
Wow, yeah.
Um, Technicians that got in trouble and your customers calling you and complaining because we did industrial refrigeration. And you're like, man, I can't afford to lose a multi-million-dollar account. So I just sat there
Wow.
one day and I was like, you know what? Owning a company's not for me right now.
Now, okay, don't tell me because I owned a company for a lot of years, not in the same situation, a residential situation, and it was very stressful for me as well. Do you think that's something that you acquire an ability to deal with, or is it just something where you identify that this isn't for me and you just go somewhere else and do something else?
I I think that over time I've learned ways to handle the stress. Because when I jumped into it, I was pretty young. I want to say I was like 23 years old when I jumped into starting a company. Um, and I just was not
Wow.
ready for that stress. And I had no life, no freedom. I literally worked more than I ever imagined I'd work in my life ever. I I leave for the field, come home, sit in my office at my house, do my paperwork, get the next day lined up, wake up the next day, do it all over again, 7 days a week, and it never ended. Now I kind of learned the balance between where you tell a customer, "Hey, no, this is not the time for this. We can wait a couple days for this. Let's give it a break," stuff like that, and how to just let certain things not bother you. That's what I think it really boils down to, because I let everything bother me when I have my company.
It's hard to turn that off, though. I mean, if something bothers you, like let's say customers that have issues, if it really eats at you and bothers you, I mean, I don't know if that's something that you can ever really shake completely. It's just part of your DNA almost. What do you think?
Um, yeah, it's hard to shake the when customers are upset about something or they feel like you did a poor job, but you got to kind of learn to not let it eat you as much. And my wife will say, I let everything eat me if I can't figure it out. It eats at me, eats at me, eats at me. I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and be like, "Oh man, that's why that board did that. I gotta get on the computer and let me find this board real quick and let my customer know first thing in the morning." I don't do that too much anymore.
I don't blame
I don't like
you.
it bugs me all in. If I can't figure out something, it eats away at me. But I would say in the past 5 years, I've learned to let it not eat away at me. And I really think what kind of helped me scale back a little bit is I waited longer in my life to have kids. And with my first kid, I realized that work is not everything. So
Sure. Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
why I left my last company. Um, I traveled way too much. I traveled all over the country doing controls, and I was what they called the Western Regional Service Manager and sales manager. And I just traveled across the country selling controls and new equipment and stuff like that. And it turned into with COVID that it's just way too much work, and I never saw my kids. And I was like, you know what, work's not everything.
Now, it was the onset of COVID. Did it keep you out of travel and you discovered during that time period that you were traveling too much, or how did that work? Did COVID help in that regard?
No, COVID actually made me travel more because one,
Wow.
I had a shortage of technicians. I had technicians that wanted to retire, and they just took it and they were like, "Oh, I'm done." So they were older, and then also there was like we did a lot of Hawaii work, and a lot of the contractors in Hawaii were just like, "Yeah, we're not doing work anymore because of COVID." So we actually picked up more work, and which required me to travel more, and it just became a thing of I don't know.
Well,
I started working harder because of COVID.
I don't know what Hawaii work is precisely, but it sounds good. It sounds like something you want to do.
During COVID, it's not fun, but before COVID and stuff, it was pretty nice. But we were an industrial refrigeration company. I tried to stay out of the residential world for as long as I could. I did it for a few years with my grandfather, and I kind of was like, I'm not, this isn't for me. And I
Why not? Why'd you prefer industrial over residential? It's got to be people, right? It's got to be the customers.
it was mostly due to the customers, and it was also kind of a thing of like you always talk about like I've been watching your channel for a while. You got the super tech, right? I,
Super
I
text,
was
yeah.
I was that guy. I had to be the best at everything, and I always felt like the industrial refrigeration, the ammonia market, like if you could master that, you were the best.
It looks good. It really does look good. You know, from my vantage point at residential, which is the lowest part of the pyramid, someone who does industrial ammonia refrigeration, they look pretty cool. They're like rocket scientists. So
Yeah,
I think you're right about the perceptive part of that. But yeah, I guess you move past that and it's like perception is not everything.
yeah. Perception is not everything, and I'll be honest. And all like commercial, heavy commercial, and industrial. The and it's not always about the money, but the largest profit margin that we find is in the residential field.
Change out. Let's do some
You're
change
you're
outs.
well, it's not even that. It's just it's your largest profit margin because when it comes to industrial and commercial refrigeration, you usually charge by the hour. Um, at my company, we don't charge by the hour for commercial. We actually have flat rate pricing for stuff. So We actually have quite a few large accounts, and we do mostly restaurants. So, but yeah, it's commercial industrial is a different world, I feel like, and if if you can master the commercial and industrial world, you'd have no problem being a residential tech, and you'd actually probably make more money.
Yeah, residential techs do pretty well. I mean, if you can abandon your morality, you do real well.
Yeah, if you can abandon your. I have guys that are actually pretty moral. I have one guy. I call him my Remy specialist, and
Oh, the Remy Halo.
yeah. So you have to understand me. I am very anti Remy Halo IAQ stuff and hard start kits. Like I cringe whenever one of my guys put us in an invoice. You need a hard start kit, and I'm like, no, you don't.
Okay,
So,
okay, I can understand the Remy Halo for everything because I've seen people, like you need a Remy Halo and then your car drives better and all that sort of thing. But why the hard start kit? Because I agree with you that people use them too much. But why do you say that?
so there actually is a thing. Like if you look at some of the like compressors, like Copeland, if you pull that actual compressor up, it will say no starting components. It'll say not
Mhm.
applicable. And that's because it's going to destroy the windings in that compressor, increasing that voltage. Because as you increase the voltage, you're going to increase the amperage. And a lot of guys don't understand is they look at these data plates and they go, just for an example, let's say the unit calls for block rotor amps at 127, right? And that's what the data plate says. But they don't understand that's at 230 volts tested in a factory. You have 247 volts, yeah, your block rotor amps is going to be higher on startup. But they always assume they think the data plate is gospel. They don't actually take the difference in the voltage and add it and see, oh, well, the amp draw is actually normal.
I could definitely see that. We have voltages here that go all the way up to in the 250s that are
Mm-hmm.
really close to the maximum allowable, so it says voltage. So I definitely understand that. And yeah, if you put hard start kits on units, you're expediting their death in a lot of cases. But they will start. They may start a little bit cleaner, but they will also die faster
Yeah,
sometimes. So yeah, I agree with you on that. That's interesting. You don't hear that a whole lot because guys like to use them a lot. I'm thinking of somebody in particular. Names
I don't,
not to
I
be
don't, I
said.
don't take them away from my technicians. I still let them sell them, but I go be smart about it. Don't promise that it's going to save their compressor. It's not a compressor saver. Usually, what those are intended to do is to extend what you have left because you may not have much left. And
Yeah,
that's
and
usually
there
the
shouldn't
part.
be at that point, right? You're
Yeah,
trying to keep it from just not starting it all ever again. You want to start, but it's like, all right, we're pushing this wheelbarrow up a hill one or two more times, and then it's going back down.
I don't know
Uh,
if you've looked into Micro Air at all. Have you ever heard of them?
I have not. Tell me about them.
They make these soft starts for residential air conditioning now.
I've heard of soft starts, but I haven't heard of them. Maybe that's something we could
They're
talk about.
they are the most expensive on the market right now. And ICM just came out with an actual soft start, a true soft start that kind of mimics what MicroAir did. I installed a couple of those on someone's house, and one, it did everything it said it was going to do. It did lower the starting amps, and it slowly induced the voltage on the startup. The lights didn't dim on the house anymore. It didn't do the load shedding on the solar because we have a lot of solar here in Arizona. And
Hmm.
whenever the unit would kick on, it would turn the breaker off because it would draw so many amps in the heat. Well, with that soft start, it lowered that amp draw, and the load shed didn't happen anymore, and it was able to start up. And now they can start up the air conditioners on their generator.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I'm gonna research that. I like ICM anyway. I like their product line, so I'll
Yeah,
research
I'm
that
waiting
one.
to hear back from ICM on what their capabilities are because the Micro Air says, hey, this is for like RV equipment. This is for 1.5 to 2.5 tons, and this is for 2 to 3.5 tons, and this is
Hmm.
3.5 or 4.5, whatever, all the way up to 6 tons.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I see. Well, there's several people that do that. I guess there's several different brands, and they don't always match precisely because they're very specific. They're supposed to be very specific for that compressor and unit, and oftentimes you're kind of getting the closest fit, which isn't ideal as well. Or Super
well,
Boost.
that's oh, Buck Boost.
the
Super Boost.
Supco Super Boost, the one you see
Yeah.
exploded oftentimes a year later.
The magical 2-wire everyone can install.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one.
Yeah. I like I said, I despise hard kits. Hard start kits make me cringe.
That's the hardest of all.
Yeah. But I
It's
mean,
only
like,
$10.
the nice thing about the ICM, I've looked into it, and the micro air soft start is it's actually adjusting and learning as it starts up that system. It starts up the first time, monitors it, starts up the second time, monitors it, starts up the third time and monitors it. And if it finds that happy point of how much voltage to actually put to that compressor before it's too little or too much.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely read up on those and the ICM version as well. So this is something that you have used in practice already, or just a theoretical that you're going to use?
No, I've actually used the micro air soft starts on 2 Lennox units that were super loud on startup, because that was their complaint. It was like super loud on startup, and the lights dimmed whenever they started up, which is weird because they were 2-stage Lennox units. But we put them in as just a test thing to see if it would do anything. Didn't do the load shed problem anymore with the solar. It solved the startup noise. Don't get me wrong, it didn't like quiet it down like an inverter system, but it was quieter. And it definitely allows them to run their generator. We tested the generator out, and they can start both air conditioners on the generator now.
Are they 2-stage scroll compressors?
Yeah, 2-stage scroll compressors.
Okay, interesting. That's pretty cool.
Well,
Well, let me ask you.
Old train with the 2 pumpkins, and they call it 2-stage.
Yeah, it's there's 2 stages.
Yep, there are.
It's the most expensive possible way, but yeah, and that's what train's all about. Expensive. Let me ask you. So what have you got planned? First of all, do you want to play one of the trivias, or
Sure.
name that you can pick trivia or name that YouTuber? Which one would you like to do?
I think I would do the trivia because I only follow a couple of you on YouTube. I follow you, and I follow what's his name from HVAC school in Florida.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
Brian OR. Yeah, he was actually. Here's what you would have seen. The very first one. Check this out.
So why does a fuse blow? Why does it?
See, you would have got that right. See, you would have had that. But that's okay, because we have trivia questions for you. You can win one of these fine shirts that you see hanging behind me that looks like a redneck clothesline, professionally done, mind you. And okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. You get it right, you get a shirt. You get it wrong, I'll probably still give you a shirt. So there's very little tension here. I'm going to add tense music. So here you go. Here it is. Here is your one and only question that has no effect on what you win. Here we are. Which manufacturer makes the Evolution series? Darwin, it's funny, right? Bryant, American Standard, or Bosch?
I'm going to go with Bosch.
Well, the answer is everybody loves Bosch, but believe it or not, the answer is actually Bryant. The Bryant Evolution.
Man, is that their inverter series?
It's their high end. It might have inverters in the series, but I know there's 2-stage. I installed some 2-stage versions of those. But look, because we reward failure and success here on the show, because we often do both ourselves, you get a shirt. All you have to do is email me, HVACShopTalk@gmail.com, and let me know your shirt size and where to send it, and I will send it to you with some stickers and stuff.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to ask, what do you have going on next, and how can people find the stuff that you're working on?
Once I was in the process of making the first video when your YouTube live came up, and I was like, let me just stop and put that to the side and check out his YouTube live. And then I was also working on the first video for what will actually be something, and that's going to be for new technicians on where to spend their money coming into the field and where not to spend their money coming into the field.
Oh, that's good.
Because a lot of guys think they have to spend all the dollars on all the fancy stuff when they really don't have to.
Man, I couldn't agree with that more. Well, that's excellent. So if they go to your name in the chat, they can go to your YouTube channel. But where else? You say you're on TikTok. I know a lot of these guys, even though they talk about TikTok, are probably on there. So is it the same name throughout your social media?
No, not on the TikTok. The TikTok was it's company branded. It's Arizona's Dukes of Air.
Arizona Dukes of Air. Okay, where else can they find you besides those two places?
Um,
At your house in the evening.
That's pretty much it. They can find me on the phone. I try to stay away from social media because it turns into a sour, bitter thing sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
So I kind of been getting pushed towards this. I just, every time I talked, I don't know if you're familiar with the NCI.
Sure.
They tried to get me to come teach at NCI, and I was like, I'm not ready for that pay cut.
Oh, man. Yeah. I know some of the guys have been on here as guests for sure. But yeah,
Oh,
you know,
you've had
they're
people from
teachers.
NCI on there?
Yeah, sure. David Richardson comes on here probably as much as I do.
I've taken one of his classes.
Oh, geez. I'm trying to remember. We have Andy Holt, but he's not NCI. But his brother, David Holt, who is NCI, has come on here too. So we have both of them. And, of course, Andy's Outdoor University. So,
yeah, I have to be careful because I'm not sure what I can and cannot say due to being an instructor with Heat Pump Council, and that's part of the Electric League of Arizona. So I have to.
You guys are the best. You guys, that's all you got to say. We're the best. If you want training, you want to go to NCI and get a bunch of garbage. I'm just kidding. They're great. I'm sure y'all are great.
Like I actually prefer NCI over anybody. I really do. I think they have the best courses. Their airflow dynamics is phenomenal. Their combustion analyzation class, that's like probably the best class I've ever taken.
Jim Davis.
Combustion analyzation.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of people talk about that. A lot of people, even guys that have been on here for years, YouTubers, say that taking Jim Davis's class has been eye-opening as far as understanding combustion. So absolutely right. Okay, so got the YouTube channel. You just got probably 2 more followers. You're welcome. And
thank you.
We'll continue. If you're in the chat in the future, kind of let us know what you're working on, and we'll go check it out. And definitely we'll set up something official where you can come back and talk more if you like.
Yeah, I paid for the XSplit software, and I'm still working on it. And once I get it all figured out, I'm not certified, I guess, to be YouTube Live yet. So.
Oh, that's pretty easy. You must just have to click a box or something. I think everybody gets certified live pretty quick.
It takes 2 days, they said.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah. If you have any questions, I've used XSplit the whole time. That's been the only software I've ever used, and be happy to help you. And come back and we'll have an official talk on whatever. We'll figure out what we can talk about, and we'll talk about it for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let someone else win some prizes now.
Yep. See if anyone else is man enough to come in here. I throw them down the gauntlet now, and I'm going to let you go. But thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on here and talking with me. It's been awesome. Yeah. And away we go. That was pretty cool. Awesome. Check out his channel, guys. Check out his channel. If you go on TikTok, hey, I'm not going to judge you. If you go on TikTok and you want to watch teenage girls shuffle dance because you're a creepy old person, I've never done that before, by the way. That was awful specific to never have done it.